Okay, so we're gonna do the 90-90 hip lift. So this is a foundational non-manual technique from the PRI school of thought. So drawing this back to our test measures that we've gone over so far. Number one, it gives us a floor so that a person can learn how to use their hamstrings. Because what you'll find with people is they'll tend to use extensors. They'll try and kick into the floor to bridge, or they'll use their butt or back to arch. Your goal is to educate them to slightly, like eggshells, push into the wall. Don't break the eggshell. And then imagine my hands here and dig slowly into my hands so that your knees come up to my fingers. The goal here is just to provide enough lift so that the pelvic floor lines up with the diaphragm. So what is that again? Inlet.
Should be inlet flexion.
Inlet extension.
Oh, I thought because I'm stuck in
So anterior pelvic tilt is inlet flexion. And posterior pelvic tilt is inlet extension.
Got it.
So now you used your hamstrings with our original drawing to now bring a pelvis under you. People will cramp out with this if they don't have neurologic control of their hamstrings. Because now we're taking their hamstrings from a lengthened position. For example, those yoga people that feel like they need to stretch, but they're already stretchy, because they're already in a lengthened state. So now you're giving them back a starting position. So as you're holding here, we're then placing a towel roll in between the thighs, which we didn't go over yet, but basically the adductors are now pulling an outlet apart. Ischial tuberosities are going apart from each other, going away from each other. Because now we created a closed chain event. Your knees are not coming together. Your pelvis is going away from each other. So now it's closed chain pelvis. Okay, once we have that, we just created the foundational framework of your trampoline for your pelvic floor. We just positioned your pelvic floor under a respiratory diaphragm. And now we're going to take a breath through the nose. And then we're going to fully exhale. And then pause. Let your neck up a little bit. Big things with this is people are going to try and use their flexors. Let the chin up a little bit, like CPR. We want to have an airway that's open. And then after you take your next breath, the goal is to not lose the tension you created with the exhale. The exhale gave you the obliques. Now you're learning how to take your next breath, always checking yourself to let go. And this is where those non-manual techniques, all those tests and measures can now be all grouped into one drill to help a person carry on the hands-on stuff that you gave them during the session. Less is more with PRI, but this is a starting position exercise that later on we could blast them. Okay, now let's throw in some serratus. So let's go ahead and we can do two things. We can reach with both arms, which is a different technique, or we can reach with the right. When you reach with the right hand and place your left hand on your rib cage, reaching across the body slightly helps you holster your left rib cage. Now, since you're doing that and reaching, you can use this arm reach to drive expansion. So I want you to pause, inhale through the nose, full exhale, close this. We want to tension the pelvic floor in the exhale, because remember when you exhale, the diaphragm's going up. We want the pelvic floor to fly with it up. Good, and then not to overuse pec muscles, so you gotta make sure. And as you exhale, you're closing this side, which is left stance. You're opening this side, which is right swing. And if you're doing a good job, you're gonna feel when you breathe in while holding this compression down into the table, your next breath, and then relax. Always end on an inhale. Now we can take this further. We didn't include a pelvis position in regards to stance. So when you're in stance, you're in what's called AFIR, which is acetabular femoral internal rotation.
Yeah.
So watch this. Go ahead and lift your butt up a little bit. I'm about to have your pelvis walk. Pull this one away from me, reach up with this one. So imagine the ruler's on you. You're pulling this one down. More, 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 more. Now hold that position and squeeze. There's your adductors on the left side. Now you're in left stance. Now take your right arm up again. Now you're finding compression on the left side. We just tied a pelvis stance position with a rib cage stance position on the left side. And then I also like to put the arm over the head a little bit to drive even more expansion. Originally. Squeeze that in on the exhale. Full exhale. Try and drive a little deeper. Pull that knee down a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. Nice. Find your right arch. Press into your right arch right now. Now you're going to find a right glute max. There you go.
Oh. That's hard.
But what we're doing here is we're trying to position a person to find the right muscles so that when we stand them up, they already know the references.
Mm-hmm.
So when we go take you even deeper into what PRI is not the muscles. They teach it from a muscle perspective, but it's really the reference centers of an anterior capsule that you just found with an adductor, of a posterior capsule you found with glute max, of a left ab.
Okay. Mind is blown.
So what's cool is you have those tests and measures now that you can create a drill. If you want left stance, I want compression and adduction and internal rotation on the side that I'm trying to create stance. And most of the time people suck at the left. Okay, so this is a low-key drill. Now I'm going to take you to a performance one that we do with our football players. So now remember all those things that we just